And take a look at how oil is trading right here, right now as well. You can see bouncing back after dropping on some comments from Riyadh. President Trump also imposing new sanctions on Iran and saying that any country that buys Iranian oil will not be allowed to do business with the United States. And as fresh reports emerge that the kingdom is unwilling to perhaps prop up the price of oil further with market supply cuts, Helima Croft at RBC Capital Markets weighed in, telling me she's watching Monday's OPEC meeting closely.
First of all, everyone's paying very close attention to what happens on May 5 when the OPEC voluntary producers, the 8 countries that are making the voluntary cuts, meet again. Are we going to see more volumes put on the market? Is it going to be another, month barrel increase? Do they take a pause? That is causing significant jitters for market participants because everyone is very concerned about the demand outlook because of the trade war. And there's a view that there's not a lot of barrels. Really, any more barrels on the market would be very, very worrying in terms of the price outlook. We're also paying very close attention to what happens with the Iranian nuclear talks. Do we get a deal that provides sanctions relief? Again, potentially more barrels on the market. Or do the talks break down and we end up with airstrikes? And finally, what happens with the Russia-Ukraine peace talks? Is there a path to a deal? Is there a path to more Russian molecules on the market? Or does the sanctions architecture remain in place and the fighting continues?
Indeed, and so much to unpack there, Helima. So let's begin with what's happening in Saudi Arabia, particularly as we come into this May 5 meeting. Do you think Riyadh has finished being OPEC's backstop? Is that the signal that you're picking up?
Well, that was the signal that they sent immediately after the surprise increase was announced one day after Tariff Liberation Day. The view that we heard was essentially, look, we are happy to continue to work together to balance the market, but we have to work together as a Swiss clock, not as Swiss cheese. And, one country in particular, Kazakhstan, has really been the focus of a lot of attention. They have had an increase in production with the Tengiz field ramp up coming online. And so the question is Kazakhstan prepared to make the calls to the international oil companies and basically pull back production and come in line with their OPEC targets? There was also focus on Iraq and Russia, but this has really been a story about Kazakhstan. And so the question is, as we head into May 5, has enough been done to essentially stay put in terms of production? Or are we going to see them increasing output come June? And the question about what does this mean for the Trump visit to the region as well? President Trump has put out a $50 price target. The question is, will he have that price target when he gets to the region in a couple weeks' time?
Indeed, Helima, you mentioned the Trump visit as well. Just on output from OPEC as it stands, is this a compliance tactic or is it a message to Washington?
I mean, they have been very clear that this is an in-house issue, that this is really dealing with the issue of nonconformity, essentially sending a signal that, certain countries have to, again, get their act together when it comes to production. But obviously with the Trump visit, people are going to be watching, how happy is he with the oil price environment? So if you think about it, Dan, when Trump officials are on Sunday talk shows, the big thing they bring up, the big positive story they have is oil prices. And so I am looking to see, as he touches down in Riyadh, which was supposed to be the first foreign visit, he went to the Pope's funeral, but the visit to the Middle East was supposed to be his first foreign trip. What are the deliverables that Washington is bringing to the region? We've already had talk of a new U.S.-Saudi deal on a civilian nuclear program, an MOU. The question is, will we be seeing more in terms of, U.S., military assistance, potentially assistance with the AI build out that's happening in the region? There's been a lot of talk about, investment from the Middle East in the United States. I'm looking for what are the U.S. deliverables to this region.